All good.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. If we haven't met, I'm Will Stewart. I'm the Executive Director of Stay Work Play New Hampshire. And if you're unfamiliar with our organization, we are a statewide nonprofit whose mission is to attract and retain more young people here in the Granite State. So I'd just like to thank you for joining us this evening for the second of our happy hour events with the finalist for the 2020 State Work Play Coolest Company for Young Professionals Award. Tonight, we're going to be learning all about GYK Antler, which is located in Manchester. So a little bit of background on the award. The Coolest Company Award is open to both for-profit and nonprofit organizations in New Hampshire that go above and beyond to create environments that attract and retain young people, young talent. And this summer, a panel of judges comprised of young employees from across the state selected 3 finalists. But the judges only selected finalists. It's up to you to choose the winner. And that will be done through online voting, which is open now through next Thursday, October 15th. That's when the winner is going to be announced as part of Stay Work Play's Rising Stars Awards, which will be broadcast online starting at 6 p.m. that day in conjunction with our partner, New Hampshire Public Radio. The event is free to attend, and the links to vote for both the Cool Company and to register to attend and view the Rising Stars Awards will be thrown in the comments section down below in just a few minutes. Before I turn it over to the folks at GYK Antler, who are going to tell you all about what makes their company such a cool place to work, I'd like to take just a moment to thank Eversource Energy, the presenting sponsor of this year's Rising Stars Awards. If not for Eversource, the event simply would not be possible. So thank you again to Eversource Energy. And with that, I'll turn it over to GYK Antler President Travis York. Travis, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. My name is Travis York. I'm a CEO of GYK Antler. I have been associated with Stay Work Play in the past and have always watched this award with admiration as other companies were deemed cool. I always felt a little self-conscious coming back to the employees, though, and as the CEO, perhaps suggesting that we consider ourselves for the Coolest Company Award. The least cool thing is the CEO trying to tell its employees that maybe we're cool. But I was really excited this year when the team themselves came forward and were really enthusiastic and excited about the possibility of being the coolest company in New Hampshire, courtesy of Stay Work Play. And so they proceeded and put together this awesome deck that as I've been watching it come together and seeing it put together, I've been really proud of what we've been able to create as a company and a culture. And I think it's key to point out, as the owner and CEO of the business, you don't set out to create a cool company per se. You also, as much as you want to drive the culture and encourage behavior and things to come to life in certain ways, you can only steer that so much. It really has to happen organically. It really has to be done through the combination of setting the tone, but empowering the people that are employed by you and the ones that you carefully select to come in and be themselves and create the kind of culture they want and the kind of place that they want. So for me, I get tagged as the family guy a lot. I have 4 younger brothers. All of us get confused consistently. I am the oldest and best looking. What are you laughing at? I would expect a laugh maybe from not one of our employees from saying that. My parents were in the business community in New Hampshire. My grandfather was in the business community in New Hampshire. And so there's a lot of family roots here. And so I was proud after I left New Hampshire to go to college and got myself busy with the big agencies and playing on a global stage. I really wanted to come back. And I came back in about 2005 as a boomerang, recognized that if I wanted to play in the major leagues of advertising and marketing, I probably needed to create some of that. There were a lot of solid agencies in the area, mostly on the traditional side. And so what I realized in trying to take a more local and regional agency and trying to scale it up was to really embrace the independent spirit of New Hampshire. The whole concept of live free or die, leading, not following, being a responsible rabble rouser, really kind of charting our own path resonated me and was essentially like in my blood. And in the agency world, as you'll learn about in a bit, many of the dominant players at the big level are owned by large holding companies and or are publicly traded. So the concept of taking that live free or die mentality really taking charge of that and attracting people who also believed in that, and firmly protecting our independence was key. And I think is why we attract a lot of the brands we attract and a lot of the talent we attract. Ultimately, what we recognized was creativity is a major business advantage. And we, with these independent spirits, could really drive growth for companies largely through our entrepreneurial spirit. So you heard me mention the multi-generations of business that my family's been involved with. I've always been a serial entrepreneur with the agency and with other ventures that I'm involved with. A creative entrepreneur, to me, is somebody who has original thinking and somebody who is willing to take responsible risks. And so every single person we hire has those attributes. And frankly, where they got their degree from or what their previous experience was is almost less important than how we think they fit and how much they adhere to the independent spirit and the creative entrepreneurial vibe. So you'll see that today as the team that we've brought with us takes us through their creative entrepreneurial journey and how they got to GYK Antler and the roles that they play in the mix. And they're all way cooler than I am. So they will take it from here and represent ourselves to you as you consider us for this award.
So hi, I'm Ginger Ludwig. So I've been in the agency role for about 15 years. So I joined GYK Antler in February, which was about a month before we went fully remote due to the pandemic. I am a self-proclaimed Disney fan, and somehow my GYK Antler people still love me, even so. I was actually, true story, I was in Orlando.
Cool company award. You can't be touting Disney. Like,
I mean, poor Disney right now, man. But we were in Orlando 2 weeks before Walt Disney World shut down. I would give just about anything to be strolling around Epcot right now, especially with some of the people on this call. But anywho, I'm going to give you a real quick background on the ad industry and honestly, like the huge amount of players that are in it. So this is just a little sampling of some of the local players and some of the super highly awarded agencies that exist just across the US, and a lot of these companies have international presences as well. So we're a full service integrated marketing agency, which means we do digital marketing, social content, media planning, buying, video production, all sorts of things. You name it, we do it, which is fantastic. But what it also means is that we compete against a ton of other agencies that say they either do one of those things or all of those things. So it's everyone from some of the local players and, you know, myself and some others actually hailed from Arnold, which is a local agency to Boston and New York. Kristen Barth is one of them. And our president of GYK Antler, Pam Hamlin, was the former global CEO of Arnold. And a lot of these agencies have hundreds, if not tens of thousands of people across the globe. And I've had the pleasure of working both at really large shops and really boutique shops and everything in between. And if there's one thing I've definitely taken away, it's that today it's harder to differentiate yourself than ever when it comes to talking about the services that you provide. So for us, as a shop of fewer than 100 people that compete against all these big guys, it's more important than ever that we carve out a niche for ourselves, and one that really focuses first and foremost on creating the very best experience that we can for our people and the very best culture, because so much of what our people experience and what we bring to them, the support, the communication, the innovation, the passion, the motivation, so much of that ends up then fueling our product and the things that we bring to our clients, to our partners, and to one another every day. So our client portfolio is actually one of our best kept secrets. So despite the fact that we're a mid-sized agency, because of the talent that we have, it really gives us the ability to punch way above our weight class and produce amazing work for brands that are not only local, New Hampshire itself, but also brands across the United States. So, you know, I've personally had an amazing 7 months here. And so much of that is in large thanks to the amazing people, not only in this Zoom call, but also folks on our HR and culture team, like Tina, who I'm going to turn it over to, that have been doing so much to support us every step of the way. So I'll turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, my name is Tina Yanuszewski. I am the head of talent and culture. I've been with the agency for 14 years this month, October 30th. I'm known as the resident work mom. So I am the one that everyone goes to for advice, whether they need to show me a rash on their finger and ask me if they need to go to the doctors, or whether they're having problems at home or work problems. My office is a revolving door, and at any time you will find somebody in it, which is what I love. GYK is a people first company. We have a very strong culture, and we wanted to really keep up that culture while we're not in the office together. So one of the ways that we're trying to keep the culture is I've been doing quarterly roundtable meetings. That's where I get people together in smaller groups, 10 to 12 people. We discuss topics in this pandemic. Working from home, do you feel supported? Do you have what you need? And these roundtables just gives people the opportunity to talk amongst themselves. They get to hear what other people are feeling. They get their feelings validated. Oh, you know, you're using a whiteboard for your calendar to manage your remote working with your kids school schedule, how to keep your work life straight. Oh, you're using this whiteboard, so they can hear each other's ideas. It's really appreciated by the employees, and it goes a long way. I try to separate them. Like I have a roundtable with the parents, a roundtable with the younger folks, and they really enjoy talking amongst each other and just having that sounding board, and they love it. Another thing that we're doing is we're doing polls and surveys just to see what the employees want to do and what we currently do, if it's working or not, or should we change it up a bit. So we send out polls and we do surveys. One of the things that we work on is the benefits. It's really important to educate our employees on all the benefits that we offer and some of the smaller benefits that they may not know about. So for instance, with our healthcare, you know, there's a lot of benefits available to them in free gift cards. So we try to educate them on all the hidden benefits. You know, if you go on and you take a wellness survey, if you click that you're a non-smoker, you can get up to $700 worth of free gift cards. So we try to really educate the employees on all the benefits that we have. One of the things that we're most proud of is our robust onboarding program. It's really great when we were in the office, we got to be together, and now we're still doing the same robust onboarding remotely. We've hired 12 employees during this pandemic. We still keep the same schedule. So when an employee starts working, we don't throw them to the wolves and they start working their very first day. We don't have them actually starting until their fourth day. So we have them meet with all the different leaders. We assign them a buddy. When we were in the office, the one thing that we found that made people nervous was eating alone. Like, who am I going to eat with my first day? I don't know anyone. So when we assign them with a buddy, they meet with their buddy, they have lunch with their buddy, and then each day for that 4 days of their first week, we make sure they don't eat alone. So we're still doing that remotely. We have virtual lunches, we have virtual meetings, so they still feel welcome and part of the family. As Travis said, you know, some of the new hires he hasn't met in person, but we all have met during our remote. And one of the things that makes GYK so close knit is that no matter what office that you work in, we are all together on Tuesdays when we were back in the office. So every Tuesday, whether you worked in Western Mass, whether you worked in Boston, you were always in Manchester together as a team. So we were one GYK Antler every Tuesday. So because now we're remote, we wanted to keep that culture strong. So on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 4 o'clock, all 75 of us get on a town hall Zoom, and we all look forward to it. And what we've been doing is we've been trying to, have some business, either Travis, Pam, or Mark, our top leaders, kick it off and talk. But then we have a game. So we've been playing Department Feud for the last, it seems like 25 weeks. We finally finished Department Feud. Next week, we actually start with Pictionary, which we're very excited about. We picked random teams, and we're going to be doing virtual Pictionary. But each town hall, we give out Batista bucks. So each game, we try to do a game or a contest. So we've done best dressed. So we had a formal invitation. Everyone dressed to the nines came to the town hall. We voted on a virtual poll for the winner. They got $100. We've done Chopped. We've done best joke. And then our very last competition last week, we did a home office makeover. So whoever wanted to have a home office makeover, they had to send in their specs on what they wanted for the office. And that was a little disappointing. We didn't have as many people turn in their specs. So the company surprised them with the 5 people that actually took the time to draw a schematic. They all want a home makeover. So each one of them got $250 to buy and make, buy a desk, buy a chair, whatever they wanted. So I can ramble on all day about how awesome we are, but you don't have to listen to me. I want to give it back to the young professionals, and we'll start with Kristen.
Great. Thank you. My name is Kristen Barth. I am the Creative Strategy Director here at GYK Antler. I am a low-key tap dancer. Thank you, Ginger. I think that's probably what you're doing. We can talk about the tap dancing a different time, although it is highly entertaining to think about me tap dancing if you know me. Just one small thing on that. I started dancing when I was 3 years old. My parents just threw me in a dance studio, as you do. And of course, I take everything from the age of 3 until now very seriously. And I decided that I was going to be a professional tap dancer. And so I did. And so that's just a weird fact about me, that I've been tap dancing more than I've done anything else. But I'm also a creative strategy director at GYK, and that's why I'm here. To talk to you guys a little bit about creativity and what creativity really means, what it means to be a creative, and what it means to be a creative at GYK Antler. I think it's an interesting story, sort of the way I came up in the industry and the way I've kind of found myself at GYK. We can kind of talk a lot about, what it means to be a creative, to make advertising and things like that. I think, Travis really touched on this in the very beginning, that, bringing your passions every day to work is really what makes creativity your biggest asset. And that's something that I care deeply about. It's something that, drives me to do my job every single day. And, I think, I kind of found myself in this industry by accident, but as you can see from the tap dancing part, being passionate and being, expressive and bringing my interests to work every day, bringing my passions to work every day, and sort of injecting that into the assignments that our clients give us is what it means to be a good creative, right? Is bringing your whole self to work every single day. And sometimes it's difficult to do that when you're expected to be a certain way. And I think, in the past, I think the industry has sort of created these boxes of what a creative is supposed to be and what, anybody in the industry is supposed to be in their lane and staying in your lane. And I was always really bad at that. I'll give you a little bit of background on me and how I kind of found myself in the industry, because I think it's really important to sort of add a little bit of color to my title. My title is a little bizarre, and I just want to kind of add a little bit of color into the importance of those 3 words, because they're all very important to me. So I have a background in graphic design. I went to a small art school in Boston, and I thought I was just going to be a designer. I thought I was going to, draw and make logos and icons and things like that. I didn't really know much about marketing. I was a good consumer, and I liked to learn stuff, and I liked to buy stuff, and I was a kind of a tinkerer and an early adopter of technology and things like that. But other than that, I didn't really know a ton about marketing, and I actually found a job listing for Arnold in the boom of social media. And it basically said, do you know how to make memes? Actually, Ginger, I don't know if you know this story, so this is going to be really fun.
This is amazing.
I did know how to make memes because I was a young millennial. And so I thought I'd try my hand at going to an ad agency and just see what that was all about. And I found myself really interested in the data and in fostering creativity through learnings in analytics and learning the back end of social media and understanding how creativity can be born out of insight. And so I learned a lot about strategy through my creative, which is a really interesting time to sort of come into the industry. But I was sort of alone in that. I didn't really have anybody else that was making social media creative with me in, 2011. It was kind of, the young millennial doing the social thing and then everybody else doing their thing. As you know now in 2020, that sort of world grew and grew and grew. And social media has become such an interesting channel for us to create in the advertising industry. And so I actually ended up leaving the creative department and going into a strategy department, and I honed that skill even more. I thought it was really important to learn more about strategically how to find all of you as consumers, in a world where you love to play in social media as it's growing and growing and growing. So I got to learn a lot about strategy, a lot about analytics and data and insights, but I was missing the creative side again, right? So, I did the strategy thing for a couple of years, and, at Arnold, I really wanted to combine these two things that I loved. I love to create, I love to tell stories, I love to find all of you, I love to find consumers and what they care about and how they act, but I was having a hard time figuring out how to combine these two things that I think are crucial to make, great advertising in today's world. And I jumped from Arnold and I went to a small shop, and it really I couldn't figure out how to put these together. The culture wasn't there. They weren't really understanding of why I couldn't just be a creative, or I couldn't just be a strategist, or I couldn't just be something. And I found myself at GYK when I sat down with Pam and Travis and Mark, and I explained this story to them, and I explained how passionate I am about putting all of these things together because it makes the best outcome. It makes the best output. I think we talk a lot about the films and the celebrities that we use and all of that. I think the work that goes into it to get us there is the most important part. It's about that expressiveness. It's about bringing your passions and your insights to the table every single day. And for me, I can't find another place that's going to let me be my true creative self that's steeped in insight and steeped in data and steeped in the understanding of how to build a good foundation to get to an output that has Gronk looking like that, which I promise you has lots and lots and lots of research to get there. So the reason why GYK Antler is so important to me, why it's the coolest place that I have ever worked at, and I feel lucky to have found it, is because they let me be my true self as a creative. And in order to get the best work done, that's the only way that I know how to work. And so with that, I will run our reel and look at the work.
Here we go.
Woo, looky, looky. You know what this is? Good stuff.
I have an idea.
I don't believe it. Bone dry.
I don't know,
ready for some good times? And to
Nailed it.
Just makes me happy. Right?
So happy.
So happy.
So, again, I just to kind of put a bow on this. I think when we look at sizzle reels, and I saw somebody in the chat go, nothing like a good sizzle reel, which I absolutely agree with. It makes everybody super happy. I think the work that goes into getting there is so crucial, and I can't do it. None of us can do it without a good foundation of culture and understanding of one another, and being able to have the support. Like Tina had talked about, all of that is so important to get to that end point. So it's not just about the sizzle reel, it's about how you get there. And I think the sizzle reel is just a great, resolution to everything that we do here at GYK. And with that, I'm gonna send it over to Michaela, who is the one that keeps me in check and makes sure I do my job every day as the account executive.
Nice to thank you, Kristen, for that beautiful introduction. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit something different, a little bit about my experience at GYK Antler on the account team. As a New Hampshire native myself, born, raised, high school, college, the whole nine, haven't seemed to desire to go anywhere else just yet. I am definitely an adventure seeker at heart. And so when people think of, working on the account side of things, working directly with clients and building relationships, I think a lot of time people assume that, I'd spend a majority of my time behind a computer screen. And while, my laptop is definitely always by my side, or my cell phone is by my side and one click away, this job working at GYK Antler has really given me some really cool opportunities to travel and get really kind of hands-on with the creative process and different projects along the way. So just to kind of share with you guys a snapshot of a couple of my, favorite trips over the last couple years. This is kind of a smattering of photos here. You can see a picture kind of in the far lower right-hand corner. We had an opportunity to race some duck boats down the Charles Rivers with an F1 race car driver and some Patriots players. That was a totally unreal experience, and nothing that I would be able to do in a traditional desk job, to say the least. There's also some pictures of Nicole and I. You'll hear from Nicole a little bit later, taking a trip down to Colonial Williamsburg. We've got a shot of us on the lower left-hand side wearing some actual medieval armor that was as heavy as it looks. And then, my favorite trip of all time, the views kind of, can't even express it in words, but we had some really beautiful shots for a trip down to Bullfrog, Utah, which had, the population as low as you would expect a place called Bullfrog to be, which was absolutely breathtaking. So it's been awesome to be able to be, more involved in these projects as I kind of have gone along, and be able to scratch that kind of travel bug while being, happily rooted in my home state. So from there, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about some of my favorite projects. So I've had some opportunities to work with some really amazing brands, in addition to kind of traveling to all these cool places. And this, is just one that I want to spotlight for you guys today, but there's definitely a handful that have been really exciting. This one in particular, we got to partner with Dunkin'. We actually work with them both on the domestic and international side of their marketing teams. And this one here was for it's called the Dunkin' Promposal. So for this particular project, we leaned into this kind of cultural phenomenon, this idea of promposals, which I assume everyone is familiar with at this point. But if you don't have a son or daughter in high school, or you haven't been familiar, it's this kind of grand, elaborate way of asking somebody to go to the prom with you. So this we kind of took as an opportunity to kind of Kristen's point, what she was just talking about, really leaning into strategic creative on social channels, what's going to be relevant to our target audience, in this case talking to Gen Z consumers, and how do we get them more engaged with this brand in a way. So we actually came up with this idea to run a contest where teens could win this totally custom tricked out Dunkin' promposal box that we actually, our team and our content studio hand fabricated every piece from top to bottom, which was an incredible process to see, kind of that total manufacture process. We went through the stage of identifying fabrics, and as you can see in the video here on the phone screen, this particular promposal box that we created was disco themed, and the entire outer layer of that was coated in metallic finished just like a disco ball would be. So it was super cool to see, the intricacy of each and every detail that went into this, like I said, hand fabricated box. But on top of that, it was just such an awesome experience to be involved in a project that's really rooted in pop culture and something that was relevant to me and to people kind of in our day and age. And on top of that, I mean, not to brag, but it was super cool to kind of see the results at the end of this campaign. Once we finalized all of the assets and actually launched this out to the world, the work itself, you could say, went viral. That was super cool. With videos, we reached over 26 million views with some of this content. So it had a really broad reach, really high appeal, and was just kind of a super exciting thing to be a part of. Not to hammer home the Dunkin' point too much, but I've had some really cool projects that I've got to partner with them on. So another one that I wanted to highlight with you guys for a very different reason was our kind of latest campaign that we kicked off with them earlier this spring, in March, actually, right at the very start of the pandemic. So our client came to us with, the objective of, we've got, we're operating in an entirely new way, shape, and form, with stores being closed and consumers not being able to interact with us in the same way. How do we showcase that, we're still there to support our customers? And on top of that, how do we capture content to do that, to share that message and share this story? And so without, skipping a beat, our team kind of collaborated and talked about, okay, well, how can we make this happen with very limited resources in a very kind of isolated and different environment? So, we decided to create this campaign that was rooted in the idea of, staying connected with loved ones, friends, coworkers, colleagues, by sharing something sweet. So, the challenge of that is, how do we capture this in a remote world where we can't set up in a studio with 6, 15, 20 people and have talent on set? So this particular project was like no other, and it required a lot of upfront planning and strategizing on kind of the smart and efficient way and innovative ways to be able to still bring really fun and creative work to life. So as you guys will see, we've got some kind of behind the scenes footage here in the lower left-hand corner, along with some, final video footage that we captured. And a lot of what you're seeing here is the process involved in the shoot and some of the final assets. So we had our full video production team working directly with talent in their own home environments to set stages, talk about camera placement, which is way trickier than you think it is when you're working with a laptop stacked on 7 books to get just the right angle. We had everyone individually responsible. We're directing set design from remote environments, hair, makeup, wardrobe, all of those things that we would normally be hands-on and able to do with one another. We found, a way to navigate through those things in this remote world. So it was such a cool experience. Nicole and I, you'll see us kind of cameo in some of these spots here. We actually got to participate in the shoot, which was such a blast to be able to be as hands-on as that. It was just such a unique project, and some, showcases some creative ways we problem solve with clients and help them bring really cool work to life. So with that said, I will transition you to our director and DP, Dan, who definitely wanted to be here with us tonight, but he's a busy guy and is actually on set shooting as we speak. So he had some really cool thoughts that he wanted to share. So instead of having him join us in person, he's actually created his own little video in, a true DP form to share his experience.
What's up, everybody? Dan Dunn from GYK Antler here. I'm a director in DP and unfortunately can't make the happy hour as I'm out here on location shooting for one of our clients. But I've been working at GYK for about 4 years as a director DP. It's been great getting to tell stories and show off all sorts of interesting spots for all of our clients is a lot of fun. One of my favorite accounts to work on is Visit New Hampshire. Where we get to tell stories about, New Hampshire people, New Hampshire places. I grew up in New Hampshire, and every single time we get to go out there and explore the state, I'm finding something new I didn't know. It's been a lot of fun. It's cool seeing, people wanting to come to New Hampshire to work, leaving those big cities and wanting to work at a place like GYK is pretty awesome. Thanks for having us, and be sure to have a drink for me.
All right, now I'm going to bring in some of the culture and talk about some of the aspects that makes GYK just a really good place for young professionals to work. So I'm Jess. I'm the Senior Manager of Marketing and Communications. I am also an OG Beehive member. I have loved Beyonce for more than I can remember. But I was born and raised in New Hampshire. I actually started my career right out of college at GYK. I was doing social media at the time for clients when social media, a new offering to the agency. I left after about 1.5 years and I went to Massachusetts to work for a larger corporation. And I was there for about 4 years. And then I went to a smaller nonprofit, and then I ended up boomeranging back to GYK in 2017. And I've been here ever since. And we actually have a few boomerang employees, and I feel like what that speaks most to is just the people focused culture at our core. We have a lot of really good perks here. We have a July 4th shutdown for the week. We have a holiday shutdown. We have beer on tap and cold brew and snacks. There's a lot of great things, but at the end of the day, I definitely would not have come back if I didn't like the people, and I love the people at GYK. So the Culture Club is the next thing I kind of want to talk about. This is not necessarily something that is a part of my job responsibilities, but it's a kind of extracurricular activity that I like. And our Culture Club, our job is basically to be the eyes and ears of the agency and make sure that we're working really closely with Tina, who you already heard from, in the HR department, and making sure basically that people are happy and that we're thinking of good events to do, and we're kind of reporting back on what people are liking, what they're not liking, etc. So we meet on a regular basis and we come up with different ideas, things for the holiday parties. We do office breakfasts, cornhole tournaments. Those are all things when we're actually together. Obviously, it's been different since we've been remote, but it's been equally as important. So some of the things we've done since we've been remote, for Earth Day, we all hand wrote cards to every single employee in the agency, sent them with little seeds that people could plant with their families and watch their flowers or plants or whatever grow. So that was cute. We also, today actually was the first day that we did guided meditation breaks, a break during the workday, just because, people are stressed during this time period. So that was one thing we've kind of heard synonymously. So we thought that would be a really good thing to bring people. But yeah, Culture Club, our job is to make sure that people are happy. And then the last thing I wanted to just touch on is really our company's willingness to support what employees' passions are, which you've already heard, but also from their philanthropic interests. So for me, I am super involved with the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. And so that's meant the company has allowed me to share my fundraising efforts for the Jimmy Fund Walk. They've organized lunches for me to have everybody do handwritten cards that we send to the patients at the Brigham who are undergoing treatment. And it's just an organization that's very important to me. And so to have the company back me in something like that is huge. Um, Another thing is the Rock On Foundation. That was actually an employee's idea, and it was made a reality because of the support of the company. So it's basically focuses on bringing the arts and athletics to underprivileged communities in New Hampshire. That has meant like renovating local basketball courts, donating instruments to music schools. I think there was hosting camps, athletic camps during the summer for kids for free. And it's really just about giving New Hampshire youth the opportunity to pursue athletics and arts who might not otherwise have that opportunity. And then the last, but it is certainly not least, organization that is really near and dear to every single person at GYK is the Special Olympics of New Hampshire. We have an employee who is a participant of the Special Olympics, and he has just totally energized the company to get behind this like really important cause. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, Travis is talking, and a few other like there's some pictures there, but everybody has been involved in various different ways to help Special Olympics. People have done polar plunges on January 1st, jumping into the ocean. People will volunteer at their actual games in the summer. And then every year we do this thing called the rock, paper, scissors tournament, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's everybody playing rock, paper, scissors in a tournament. But you pay $5 to get in, and all the money goes to Special Olympics. And it's just like a really fun event for a really great cause. And so those are just a few of the smatterings of ways we try to give back to the community, which is something I think is really important and makes us a very cool place to work. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to the lovely Nicole.
Hi, so I'm Nicole Maggio. I'm the Associate Media Director here at GYK. You'll see here, proud dog mom. That was probably one of the first things I said when I got on Zoom was something about my dog. So just really fitting for me. And I apologize if he makes his way into the frame. He's kind of like glue to my hip most of the time. So I was born in New Hampshire. I went to college here, and then I took a minor detour or two to a couple of different cities, working at some larger companies until I realized that what the hell, there are no stars in these cities. I can't actually live here. So I moved back to New Hampshire, and I still appreciate the stars every day. One of the reasons that I love GYK is really because of the people. And I know a lot of people have said that today during this presentation, but I would say that the media team, and shout out to my girl Molly, who is from my media team and is here by her own will after hours. I love you so much. We are a total subculture of the larger GYK agency culture. I think, everyone talks about the family feel at GYK, and honestly, the media team takes it to a whole next level. We tell each other we love each other, and we really do mean it. So I think that tells you something. Not only is my team filled with some of my favorite people, and you can see us all here, but also, they're really great people, but they're also really smart. And GYK is a really great place to be really smart and really driven. The agency is focused, obviously, not only on personal growth, because, Mama T definitely cares about you as a person. Travis cares about us as people. But it's also somewhere where you can really grow professionally as well. So specifically on the media team, we really empower people to kind of find their passion point and make it their specialty in the media space. So some people choose to focus on paid social. So the team is constantly sitting down with Facebook, going to various seminars and training sessions to really hone in on that expertise. Or some people want to be programmatic traders, and I swear that's a real job. I didn't just make that word up, but it's really techy. So we've actually onboarded a self-service platform. So those people who want to really, get into the nitty-gritty and become traders can get right into the weeds. And be really, first to market with a lot of the really cool, creepy data stuff that follows you around on the internet after you've looked at those pair of Yorks that you know you want, but you haven't bought yet. Or influencers. So we have a girl on our team who's really started to shine in that space. And, you know, she's been able to really start managing kind of top tier relationships. One of them has been with Camille Kostick. So it's really, you know, allowing people on our team to really find what makes their heart beat a little bit faster and really lean into that. So basically anything you really enjoy doing, you have the opportunity to kind of expand your knowledge, and really the agency supports you 100%. So obviously I love my team a lot. You guys have heard that. But I also really love my dog. You've also heard that. And if anyone has gotten a new puppy before, and you can see mine in the bottom left-hand corner there, you know how hard it is to leave them home alone all day when they make their little cute faces and their floppy ears. You don't want to do that. So one of the things that I'm most thankful to GYK for is being able to bring my dog to work. He's 3 now, but when he was 8 weeks old, he came in every single day. And it was definitely a life and carpet saver to be able to potty train him while I'm working. And not only that, I think, you know, he's really kind of become his own little version of a GYK employee. You can see him in the middle there giving Kaylin a hug. She must have been having a bad day. So he's our resident hugger. He goes in, he does his rounds, he says hi to everyone before he just comes back and kind of plops down behind my chair and just chills out for the day while mom works. And I think it's, you know, when there's too much going on, a dog in the office has proven to be the cure for most things. So with that, I'll stop talking about my dog and my team. I will pass it off to David, who is our newest family member to GYK.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I just joined GYK 3 weeks ago, so super new. I'm a senior strategist / history buff / the new guy. So I'm going to give you a little bit of context on stuff Tina's mentioned already, but from a different perspective, having gone through it in the past couple of weeks. So obviously right now is a super weird time to start a job or really do anything, to be honest, but GYK has been great about sort of giving me everything that I need to succeed, both personally and professionally. So even in the 3 weeks that I've been here, I've gotten a pretty good grasp of the culture, of, you know, who everybody is. Everybody's super friendly, personable, but at the same time, really smart and serious about the work. So it's been a great environment in my limited time to do good work, but also have some fun at the same time. So a couple key things I wanted to talk about was, first of all, the onboarding process, which for a new guy is critical, especially right now. You know, if you were in the office, you'd be able to meet people just by happenstance, walking by them, saying what's up, and, you know, having some small talk. But with Zoom calls and phone calls and not really seeing people around, that's really limited. But GYK has done a great job of setting up like both professional intro meetings. So tell me about your department, what you do, that kind of thing, but also just quick calls to meet people and sort of learn about them as a person, and, you know, share personal little tidbits so we get to know each other, so that when we do come back into the office and I get to finally go to the office, I'll actually feel like I know some folks. And honestly, this is genuine. I think I've met more people in my first 3 weeks during Zoom at GYK than I did at my last couple of agencies in person. Like, it's just a really robust process, and it's genuinely appreciated. So that's been an awesome feature my first couple of weeks. And a part of that has been the buddy system, which Tina mentioned. She mentioned that it was originally implemented for like having lunch and sort of spending time with your buddy in person, but it's actually been like a sneaky good feature for the whole Zoom remote work from home thing, because like I said, you don't get to see people just by happenstance. If you have questions, you have your buddy you can lean on and talk to and ask questions and whatever it is. So, you know, it's easy to feel alone when you're working from home, but with the buddy system, it helps to sort of feel like somebody's got your back, which is great. And the last thing I want to talk about is the town halls, which Tina mentioned as well. You know, I've been to one officially, but I'm looking forward to the next one, which I think is this upcoming week. But yeah, everybody in the entire agency gets on the Zoom. You know, we put away work for a minute and just talk about personal stuff, have some fun. It's a great way to get everybody connected despite sort of being apart and not being able to see each other in person. And it's a good way to mix in some fun as well at the end of the week, or the end of, you know, every other week, whatever cadence it is. You sort of need to just have a happy hour like this and, you know, talk about random stuff and have some competitions. I think we have a pumpkin carving contest coming up, which is something I'm looking forward to, a costume contest, whatever it might be. And I think looking from the outside in, it's easy to think that these things might be superfluous or sort of unnecessary, right? Or just you do it because you think it's good for culture, but it really goes a long way for somebody who just joined the team, right? Like getting to see people outside of a work setting, and just learning how people interact with each other and having a bit of fun. It goes a long way to sort of boost morale and make you feel like you're part of something. So been a great first few weeks. Really happy to be on the team with all these folks on the Zoom with me, as well as everybody else. And thank you all for joining.
And we really do have a lot more fun than how serious we all looked in that screen grab of the town hall.
I was just saying, I think that was our very first town hall. So like toilet paper was like a really big topic. And
Mariah coming in hot with the Charmin.
Yeah, girl, like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, she was rubbing it in as she had toilet paper.
Yeah,
making it appear like she had toilet
He had
paper.
hoarded.
I don't know if that's an actual background, but.
Well, I mean, Stay Work Play Team, that's everything from us. If you guys have any questions, we're glad to answer that.
I think I just got a question from James. I know
us talking to ourselves right now.
James, I don't know if this is a private message or not, but I'm just going to tackle the question because I know everybody else talked about sort of what they do, and I didn't really talk about strategy. So James asked if I could elaborate a bit on strategy and stuff like that. So what we do really, and Kristen hit on this a lot because she straddles both strategy and creative, but we really try to get into the mindset of the consumer, what the competitive landscape is for brands, the cultural realities and trends that are going on, and try to essentially set the creative teams up and the media teams up to succeed at the end of the day. So what's going on, what's going to motivate somebody or resonate with them. And it's all grounded in a lot of research, understanding sort of human nature at large, but also trends and how people feel about certain topics. So it's a great mix from my perspective in terms of combining data, but also sort of the creative spin on how do we use that to create something cool and create something that actually works to our marketing objective at the end of the day. So it's a really interesting field for sure. And I'm happy to answer any other questions like offline if you want more.
Thank you. Yeah.
You got it.
I have a question. Having worked in this field or on the periphery of it for a while, I mean, I always tell people it's an art and it's a science, but the science can be overwhelming sometimes with all the data now that we have access to and how tools and technologies and platforms just change all the time. How do you manage and curate data as a principal in the agency? Do you have your own separate team? Is it baked into each account? I'd just be curious how you manage that so that you can inform the best decisions from there.
I think the fact that numerous people on this call could answer that question kind of illustrates that it's tied into a lot of what we do. I'm guessing Nicole or David or Kristen, maybe Michaela. Which one of you wants to chime in on that?
Nicole, do you want to start?
Yeah. So I'm in the media space, and I'm also a data nerd, similar to Kristen. And I think that's kind of super important to have in every department, right? Because I'm looking at different metrics than maybe Kristen is. And at the end of the day, we're using our own resources and coming together and sharing those findings. And then we're learning from each other. But I think from a, data management standpoint, we have some proprietary tools in place. We have a lot of processes set in place from like a, data capture and share process. And I think it's really baked into each team pretty deeply, just kind of with a different lens.
Yeah, and I'll just add something that's very, very different from anything that I've ever experienced at any other agency is how early creative strategy and media come together in the process. It's pretty immediate. We work together right at the beginning of, of a an assignment. And, Nicole and I are talking immediately about what a media buy might look like and how that might inform how I, start to go down a creative path. And it all happens really, really early in the process. So understanding data from her standpoint, from my standpoint, really just informs everything. And it's really unique to the agency to be that collaborative across departments. So I think that's another kind of very different, differentiation from other agencies in our industry, being collaborative across departments, and understanding data and having the desire to understand data across departments, I think is also very, very interesting and unique to our agency.
So a lot of my background was loyalty and largely some of the early loyalty programs online. And so we were fortunate, I don't know, I guess 2005 through 2010 to have a handful of very data heavy clients. Specifically lottery is where a lot of our data shops really had to expand quickly. As soon as lottery started, it was the first lottery in the country to give every player a second chance to win on the internet. We had to build very extensive databases behind the scenes that started tracking everything from jackpot amounts to dollar values to all the different player activities and transaction history, which then led to eventually iGaming becoming legal and sports betting becoming legal and a number of other things that are very data intensive and very heavy. So in some ways, because of that early adoption of loyalty and data and having some clients that had really extensive needs, I think relative to a lot of other more like traditional shops, we have data more integrated into our teams than might be typical. I think as Nicole kind of referenced, for us, and I think what really makes us different than a lot of our contemporaries out there is our ability as a relatively nimble team to connect strategy, creativity, and media with data underlying all of it is something that we really pride ourselves on, and really allows us to flex our relationships with our clients differently depending on what balance of those things they need. And it changes, to your point, like daily. I mean, that's one thing that frankly has been the hardest about trying to build an agency like this in New Hampshire is that there aren't a lot of contemporaries in the space. And so we've had to try very hard to make sure we're constantly educating our teams, and we're really encouraging people to spend their time, their free time and or their work time on personal and professional development. Because if we're reliant entirely on our client base and what they're looking for us to do, we could get behind pretty quickly. So thankfully, we have some really forward-thinking ones. But the biggest learning I had, when you work at a major conglomerate, they're feeding you data and information and technology knowledge all the time. And it's almost like drinking from a fire hose. For us, we've had to create that for ourselves. And we've had to, we literally in our talent and culture team have daily newsletters that go out educating people on marketing and technology and current trends. As David referenced and Nicole referenced, we have third-party tools that we subscribe to give us information to kind of shortcut it. Because if we get complacent on that for more than a few days or weeks or months, then we're going to be behind.
I think another interesting benefit of this agency compared to some of the bigger ones is you get to work on a lot of different businesses and industries. Mm-hmm. And in doing that, you learn a ton that you might not otherwise be exposed to. And then you can use those things to sort of better the ideas and sort of further the brands that we're working on. So there's that inherent crossover that if you're working at a big agency where you're on one business only, you just don't get it. So I think that's critical as well.
Really great point. You would never think that working on a lottery account would teach you anything about barbecue sauce, but sometimes it does.
Well, that's an interesting point. I hadn't thought about that in a while, but even though we theoretically could assign people full-time to accounts, we very intentionally don't do that because we now, of course, the account people might be a little bit different in understanding the business and stuff, but we really encourage our teams to work cross clients and go really deep in their horizontal skill set. Not just for our clients, but we have our own ventures as well within the family. And so we're constantly experimenting and trying new things to keep everybody's skills sharp.
All right. Well, thank you all so much, y'all, for sharing what it takes to, what makes GYK Antler such a cool place to work, and for going above and beyond to attract and retain young talent here in New Hampshire. Clearly, you're hitting both out of the park, and so we are, Stay Work Play here, are very grateful for all that you do, for the state and to attract and retain more young people here. And I think I speak for everyone on the call when I think that everyone would say and agree with me that GYK Antler is definitely an employer of choice here in New Hampshire. And if we're being honest, we're all probably going to go over to gykantler.com at the conclusion of this call and see what open positions you have available. So look for that in traffic in about 5 minutes. I will say too, as we're wrapping up, that again, GYK Antler is one of our finalists for our Cool Company Award. But again, the decision is up to you, the public of New Hampshire. So don't forget to vote for what company you think should be this year's Cool Company of the Year. And the link to do so will be found down in the chat. And again, the winner is going to be announced a week from tonight, next Thursday, October 15th, starting at 6 p.m. At the Rising Stars Awards. And we'll also be throwing a link down in the chat for those who have not registered for that. Again, free registration. Come check out, find out who wins the Cool Company of the Year award, as well as a number of our other awards that we're going to be giving out that evening. So again, thank you all for joining with us tonight. Thanks to our happy hour host, GYK Antler, for sharing all the cool stuff that you're doing and what you offer to your employees and how you make it such a great place to work and to grow. Thanks also to Eversource Energy, again, the presenting sponsor of this year's Rising Stars Awards. And with that, thank you all and have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Everyone, bye.
Bye.